Now that the announcements are over, it's time to do a quick write. So for the next 10 minutes, students, please use the prompt that you see before you and write in your journals. Teachers, during this time, please go around and check the rubrics that the students scored for themselves for their agenda planners. Please pause the video. We have several learning targets for today's advisory lesson. Students, by the end of the class period today, you will be able to name the 3 zones of safety. You will identify examples of what each zone of safety looks like, feels like, and can sound like. Students will be able to describe the cause and effect of the body releasing cortisol. Students will be able to describe the cause and effect of the body releasing dopamine. And students will identify at least one way to get support or help with the danger zone and situations that cause it. It is very important that all students, staff, and families feel physically and emotionally safe here at Cal Young. We are going to take a look at what we will refer to as the 3 zones of safety. The first zone is comfort. This is when people are at ease, there's very little tension, people have a good grip on the topic that they're studying or the topic of conversation. The next is the zone of risk. And this is when you don't necessarily know everything, but you're willing and able to take a risk. This is a great place for learning. This is when you're in this zone, this is when the most learning will take place. Finally, the last one we're going to talk about today is the danger zone. This is when students or people are feeling fearful. There's a high level of defense, very low levels of cognition, meaning it's very hard for people to think or engage and pay attention when you're feeling like you're in the danger zone. So for right now, I want you to think about whether it's at Cal Young or outside of school, where are the places that you find yourself in either a comfort, a risk, or a danger zone? So this is just an independent activity. You're thinking to yourself, think about classroom experiences, break and lunch times, interactions with peers, maybe interactions with your parents or with teachers, being challenged by something, and think about whether you're feeling comfort, risk, or danger in those different situations. And again, right now you're just thinking to yourself. So right now, we'd like you to take a couple minutes, about 2 minutes, to share with a partner and talk specifically about what does the comfort zone look like, feel like, and sound like. Then as soon as you're done with those 2 minutes with partners, then you're going to share out as a whole class. So teachers, please pause your video at this time. Next, we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to talk about the risk zone. So what might that look like and feel like and sound like? And again, you're going to start with about 2 minutes with partners and then share out a couple ideas as a class. And finally, it's time to talk about what the danger zone would look like, feel like, and sound like. Please pause your video, and after the discussion, you can resume. Now that you've had an opportunity to talk about these 3 zones and give examples and think a little bit more and discuss with partners and with your class about what those zones look like and feel like and sound like, we want you to know the brain science behind them. There's actually a lot going on inside your body when you're in these different situations and in these different zones of safety. So when you're feeling like you're in danger or you're feeling like you're very comfortable. So when you're feeling like you're in danger, your body is releasing cortisol. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what cortisol does and the reasons why it's released. When you're feeling like you're comfortable and comforted, your body's actually giving off something called dopamine, and that is having somewhat of an opposite effect of the cortisol, and we're going to talk a little bit more about those in just a minute. The point is to know that it's not just an emotional response, but your body is actually, because you're human, giving chemicals and hormone releases that are going to impact the way that you feel and the way that you think and respond to situations. So let's begin by talking about the danger zone. The steroid hormone that is released when you feel like you're in danger is called cortisol, and it's released in response to stress. The problem is that long-term exposure to cortisol and having a lot of it in your system can lead to things like being sick more often. It can be harder to get well when you are sick. It can be connected to depression, fear, and stress. It actually makes it harder for you to remember things when you have a lot of cortisol exposure. It also makes it difficult to learn and think, and it influences brain development. So you can imagine when you're in the danger zone, it's going to be harder for you to think and to make clear choices and decisions. On the other hand, you can heal from the harm of trauma. There's a hormone needed to heal from negative impacts of extended cortisol exposure, and it's called dopamine. And dopamine is commonly associated with the pleasure system of the brain, providing feelings of enjoyment, reinforcement to motivate us to do or continue doing things, certain activities. The good news is that we can work together as a school community to prevent trauma and help heal those who have experienced it and provide people with opportunities for their bodies to actually release this dopamine. So right now, I'd like you to have a discussion as a class. Think back to the earlier conversation that you had about the danger zone and what it might look like and sound like and feel like. What can you do? How can you help support others and help them stay in the comfort zone of safety? Teachers, at this time, please pause the video so that you can have the class discussion. So not only is it important for you to understand the different zones of safety, but we also feel it's important that if you recognize that you are in a danger zone or you have a peer or a friend who is feeling like they're in the danger zone, there is help out there, and we have resources for you here at Cal Young. So we want to make sure that you're aware of what those are. At any point in time, you are welcome to see a staff member, whether it's in person or email. Ask for help. Ask for support. Let us know what the problem is and how we can help. Or maybe you don't know how we can help. Maybe you just need to talk at this point, but reach out. Also, all teachers in classrooms and the office have incident reports. So you can complete those and bring them to the main office, and then we can work through a situation that way. And finally, we have new forms that are kind of like request to see forms or passes. And those are in the main office with Jody, and those would be a way that you can fill out. Maybe you need to talk to Mr. Solomon, or you need to talk to Miss Watry, you need to talk to myself, Miss Zakarian. But that's an opportunity for you to fill out a quick sheet. It's very fast, and then we will come find you, and we will, see if we can help you solve whatever the problem is. So at this time, we would like you all to take about 10 minutes, review the Fan and Pick system, and then there are 4 questions listed here that we'd like you to review. Kind of think about the discussions you've had, the information that's been shared with you on this video, and talk about the zones of safety, cortisol, dopamine, really thinking about how you can get support and help, and you're just going to do that through the form of Fan and Pick. So if you would, teachers, please pause your video at this time so that it's frozen so the students can have these questions up while they are doing their Fan and Pick.